we go. What's up, guys? What is up, everyone? Today is my impromptu beginning of the Plume Game podcast. I'm just trying to eat this egg bagel sandwich before I do get started. I posted on my channel in the community section. Let me know if you guys can hear me, but I posted on my channel in the community section last week that I wanted to start doing this is like the 10th time I've tried to go live. It's hard to find a good time slot for me, my family, and that it works out. So Saturdays, 11 a.m. I'm going to try to go and do this maybe for an hour, hour and a half, talk about some of the week's gaming news, some stuff that I haven't talked about. And yeah, it'll just be an addition to the weekly content. Um, and try to expand out that way, try to get more into some streaming, hopefully eventually get some guests on and eventually maybe do some interviews, things like that. I always wanted to do it. It's just hard with going live, trying to plan it all. So that's why, if you're wondering why the hell is Plume live right now, eating a egg sandwich, that is the reason. That is the reason. I see we have some members here in the chat. We got Be Nice, got Noisy FOMO, Rachy, Nate Joe. What's up, everyone? Man of Galaxy, go Leafs, go. I mean, the Leafs are terrible this year, but sure. I'm a Habs fan, as I'm sure you guys know. Yeah. So, how's everyone's weekend going? How's everybody doing? A couple of things I do want to talk about today. Specifically, there is actually there's a few I mean, it was a huge week if you think about it in the Xbox world, from GDC to Project Helix to backwards compatibility. There are people on social media right now faking being Xbox employees and just spreading misinformation, people losing their minds trying to figure out, not even figure out, but just, trying to get the is Xbox a console? Is it not a console? All that stupidity. It's so ridiculous at this point. Trying to get weird internet wins because Xbox is going to now have a PC side to it, which is, I mean, they've been putting their games on PC forever. This is obviously the endpoint that they've always wanted. So, just a bit of interesting week. And you can see there's a lot of excitement. That's one thing I'm noticing. Aside from the haters, I guess, or the ponies who just want Xbox to die for some weird reason, there is a lot of excitement going on um, with what they're having coming in the next generation. Hey Nate, I hope you're having a good weekend too. Plume beer, it's too early for plume beer. I may have to switch my drink of choice on streams to coffee, because I do love my coffee. I do love my coffee. All right. Let me just get this. Maybe I shouldn't have pushed go live before I was still eating this, but I wanted you guys to watch me eat this egg sandwich, I guess. This bagel egg. I think there's like 3 eggs in there. I'm getting my protein in me. Just remember, Xbox is number one. Jason, I don't know how you do it, but you literally get that comment on my videos, like the first comment almost every single video. So I respect that hustle to get that video, those comments on there. What's up, Viper? I'm just gonna finish eating this, and then we'll jump into some of the news that I want to talk about. For some reason, I'm getting some weird bitrate warnings. Weird. Of course, when I decide to go live, my internet is going to be all weird and give me bad bitrate. Am I all grainy on the screen right now? Marathon is fun. Nice. I think Marathon, from what I played, can definitely have something going for it. It's just not for me. Working fine on your end, that's good. Hey, Ian Robertson, appreciate that. What is everyone playing this weekend? Let me know in chat. Copilot incoming on consoles. That's been known for a while, though. That has been in the works for a while. It was already, they put it out onto PC, and yeah, is breakfast time in the stream? Yeah, it is. I didn't have time to eat, so I just, you know what, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna, instead of leaving that starting soon the screen on, I was just gonna go and eat my sandwich, and then yeah, we're good. Starfield and Requiem, nice. That's a good line of games. Any thoughts on the new logo for the Titans? I'm assuming you're talking about. I like the look and the colors, and I like the retro stuff. I just find the new logo is a step backwards. I also find like I think it'll grow on me overall, but it just seems it just seems generic. Like they used, I don't know. I don't like the new logo, but I like the colors basically. But everything else about the new uniform seems I like the colors. I think it looks nice and clean, but it just seems generic. Like they took like the identity out. Like the font is a copy, I think, of like the Bills font. The jersey itself, the way that's laid out, looks kind of like the Dolphins jersey with like better colors. So I don't know. I just feel like they just took some of the identity out and they tried to make it too generic and it was too safe. I liked one thing I liked about the Titans uniform and logos and stuff is that they tried to be different. So it is was I'm gonna buy one. Like I think they do look nice. I just wish they would have had more like Titan logoing in it. I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, I do like the previous logo where you can see it in my screen right there, obviously. I just realized that it's right behind me on that pillow. I like the old one better. It's just it was unique. It was unique. All right. Um so I want to talk just about a few things. If anybody jumping in the chat right here, I posted on my YouTube channel I think it was last week. I'll just pull it up here. And I asked if you guys wanted to do like a live stream on Saturdays. I'm going to try to go live on Saturdays at 11 a.m. It seemed like basically everyone was like, yeah, that's a good idea. So this is why I'm here. And honestly, I didn't even think I was going to be able to go live. I just randomly was sitting at my computer and decided to do it today. But this is what I posted here. And there's 219 votes, which is a small fraction of the actual subscriber base, but 80% told me, yeah, do it 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You would be interested. So my goal for this going forward, this is episode number 1, is just to kind of jump on here and talk about some of the big news stuff for the week or things that I haven't talked about in my videos, and then hopefully expand it out from there. Maybe get guests, maybe get co-hosts. Who knows, right? I don't know where this will go for the live streaming thing. I'm not somebody who's done a lot of live streaming. As you know, my channel is basically pre-recorded videos as like a morning news show. But we'll see, because it definitely, I think, needs to. It'll help expand the channel. It'll help get more people into it. If you haven't hit the like, or if you aren't subbed or whatever, hit the like and sub. Um, it'll be cool to get some more growth on the channel as well. So that's what we're doing here. And we're going to talk about everything. It seems like the co-pilot stuff is on everybody's mind. So that's one of the topics that I did have up here. I'm going to find a better website, because one of the things with Insider Gaming is I don't know what they've done recently, but holy crap, they just throw billions of ads on their site, and you can't go to their site unless you take off ad blocker, but then it just makes the website like terrible to use. So I'm going to try to find a better one here that at least is better, easier to read and look through. I mean, this one isn't that much better, but you can kind of see it. You can kind of see the you can see the 1 second here. I'm getting text to fix something. So Copilot is something a lot of people are talking about. This is not a shock. We knew Copilot was going to eventually be coming over to the console. I mean, they had brought this Copilot feature to the Xbox app on PC, and that's they're merging PC and Xbox console. So you would assume that it was coming. I personally don't think this is a big deal. I know some people are like, "Oh, this is the beginning of full AI implementation into Xbox." I don't really see that. I don't think this is a huge deal. I have my headphones on backwards, and this is not something just Xbox is doing. I mean, if you saw some of the patents from PlayStation as well, where they put out an AI patent for somebody for AI to actually complete games for you. Xbox put out a patent as well where it would help you get through parts of games, things like that. So this is kind of what some of the implementations that we will see in gaming for AI. I think one of the main reasons that they are doing this is because this is going to sound so stupid, but if you can use AI to help people who don't want to have any struggle through games get through the games faster, they finish those games faster and they can go spend more money on the store. Because if you're staying in one game for a long period of time, like if you're stuck in it, you're not going to go out there and spend more money. You're just going to be in those black hole games. And I think the whole industry is looking at where it is right now, and staying gamers are playing not that many games, and they're staying stuck in the games and they play them for months on end. So they need to try to get people to spend more money. AI, unfortunately, is going to be one of those things that just helps the industry make more money because the line does always need to go up. But this is what we have here. So Microsoft is bringing its gaming Copilot AI assistant to Xbox consoles, and it says Microsoft, they've confirmed it will be bringing the gaming Copilot AI assistant to current gen Xbox consoles later in 2026. And the gaming Copilot AI assistant coming to Xbox consoles is currently available as a beta feature for users to try out on PCs. Now, let me know in the comments if you guys have ever tried this on your PC on the Xbox app itself. I think I've done it once and it worked okay, but like I don't see myself ever really going to do this. I'm the type of player that I will just literally hit my head against the wall over and over and over again until I figure out whatever the puzzle is. And then yeah, I waste hours in certain sections. But I mean, I feel like that's part of the games. That's part of playing games. Like if you grew up in back in the day where you would just be dropped into a game and there was no direction on where to go, like Elden Ring, for example, that's just kind of my mentality when it comes to it. But, maybe if I don't enjoy the game I'm playing, maybe I'll use this. I can't say I've never gone to YouTube to figure stuff out, but generally I just hit my head against the wall over and over and over again. It says here the news came after the filing of a patent by Microsoft for AI that can play games on the player's behalf. When asked, this patent, called State Management for Video Game Help Sessions, would give AI a snapshot of the player's progress and offer some help if repeated failures are detected. Now, you see like outrage about this type of stuff. The thing is, this is going to be completely optional. You will never need to use this. And I not a fan of AI, but some of the pushback where it's just like people push back against literally anything doesn't make full sense. Like this will be a feature, you don't have to use it. You can turn it off and you just go from there, right? I mean, don't use it if you don't want it. Say once the task is done, control will be handed back to the player. Although the practice is similar to handing someone a controller in person and having them do the work, the patent stated that even an AI-based player could answer the call for help. And when with AI becoming more prominent in gaming today, Microsoft stated that it is moving forward with bringing its Copilot AI assistant to more platforms. An Xbox product manager for Gaming AI, Sonali Yadav, stated during GDC Festival of Gaming panel that Microsoft's gaming Copilot AI assistant would arrive on the Xbox Series X and S consoles later in 2026. And after revealing, he said, "We will continue to bring it to more services that players are playing." And the announcement made nearly a year after Microsoft's gaming Copilot was first introduced for public use. And the service can be accessed through the Windows key plus G in the game bar. So it is there. And I would say if you see features out on PC in the Xbox app, you should expect them basically to be coming out onto the console itself because that is the whole goal of moving forward with Project Helix. Project Helix itself is not anything new. And I still think people think this is some sort of major pivot that they made because the consoles weren't selling as well as they wanted them to sell. If you go back 10 years ago, there's literally articles where they reference Project Helix talking about where they want to be in the future, and now they are there. So Microsoft has never actually really, I would say, strayed away from their plan. Like maybe putting games on PlayStation has been a pivot because of purchasing Activision Blizzard. I would say that is probably the main reason why they did start putting games on PlayStation, at least newer ones, aside from the legacy titles. But everything else, when you see the merging of PC to console, it's been in the works for a very, very long time. And I, for one, do like it because I like the Xbox Play Anywhere. Like Crimson Desert's coming up in a week from now or next week. So that's Play Anywhere. It's a no-brainer for me where I'm going to get that game. I'm going to get it where I can play it in on my PC and on my console. It just makes the most amount of sense. So the co-pilot stuff, we'll see some more things about this. The question I think people are asking themselves too as well is this the reason stuff like this is this the reason why Ashish Sharma was the CEO of Xbox? I mean, we don't know, but I feel like there will be more AI implementation going forward. What one thing that is for sure though, her messaging so far, whether you want to believe it or not, I would say definitely be skeptical of whatever a CEO or the PR or whatever a multi-trillion dollar corporation says. It's been on point. Her messaging has absolutely been on point for what people want to hear. But I don't think this means any pullback of some of the multi-platform strategy. You see people wanting the exclusives back. You see the banging of the drum, specifically on social media. I would say if you go out into just the real world and you talk to anybody who's playing on Xbox, they probably don't really care that much. As long as Xbox brings their games to their platform, that's all that really does matter to them. And one of the things that is gonna make this happen more so than anything, which is this is what has me excited about the future as to kind of what they're trying to build here. It's gonna be development and how can developers get their games onto the platform. If you remember over the last couple of years, there's been a few issues. Not again, it's not just an Xbox thing. We've heard about this on the PlayStation side thing as well, but it's been dealing with these companies to get your game certified up on the store and running, specifically with like the indie side. We've heard about just lack of communication has been some of the barriers that have brought these games down. And it seems like one of their main things they did focus on at GDC was how to break down those barriers, and then obviously giving the tools and more tools for free in order to get developers to just not skip the Xbox platform. So far, I think this generation there's been like a handful of games. I don't know how many there is, but like the percentage would be very, very small in terms of the amount of games that just don't release on the Xbox platform. I feel like the goal is to get that to almost zero, or the goal is to make Xbox as a platform the lead development platform because it's not right now. If you're on console, the lead development platform is PlayStation, and then they bring it over to the other places, which that's all part of how they plan development, how they plan how much money they have to spend to get those games out there. With Xbox, what they're trying to do here, it sounds like, is try to get Xbox to be the lead platform with enticing developers to be like, if you build the game once on the Xbox platform, you're already hitting all of these devices. So you don't have to re-optimize it, port it, all of that stuff. It's just there in this GDK, which I think will be very exciting for devs if they're looking at where the lead platform to build their games before they put it out onto everything else. In fact, they even had like PlayStation, PS4, PS5 in there was a slide going around that was completely taken out of context. It was again talking about console exclusives and all that stuff. But the slide was like, oh look, they're definitely never going back to any sort of exclusivity because of this. But they were talking about PlayFab, which is like where you can send your games out and stuff for once you're developing it. And so they had PS4 and PS5 in there. So I don't know this, but I wonder if you use this GDK, this is just like kind of automatically get sent out to those platforms as well, to the competing platforms. You probably would have to go through the certification on the PlayStation and Nintendo side and stuff, but man, that would be a huge advantage. But it says here Xbox just wiped out most of the excuses game developers use to skip the platform, which I think these excuses are if the developer's looking at console install base and then you add excuses onto that, why it makes it harder for them to develop for that platform, there would be a chance that they decide, yeah, we don't want to. it's going to be like our last option for shipping it. So if we run out of funds, if we run out of time, then that platform will have to wait until we get more funds and more time. But now it looks like they're really trying to take all of that away, which is a fantastic thing in my opinion. So it says here Xbox development is now much faster. It is becoming difficult for developers to justify skipping the platform. New tools that help the studios scale their games across multiple platforms, Xbox and PC, are increasingly positioned as a strong starting point for development. And for context, only 2 years ago, the process of getting set up to develop for Xbox took around 30 days, which I wonder how that compares to PlayStation, how that compares to Nintendo. They say before that, it could take several months. And in the past, part of the Xbox development process was slowed down by paperwork. Becoming the Xbox partner meant waiting for contracts to be generated, sent, and processed. And we saw some of those complaints from indie devs. It was like the paperwork and the lack of communication in getting their games up and all of that stuff. So if they take that away, that'll be helpful. This has now changed. Xbox partner agreements are generally automatically cutting handling time by more than 90%, which is huge. Microsoft has also made Xbox development documentation fully public, which means developers can no longer need to become a partner just to read how the platform works. And Xbox GDK is also publicly accessible. Developers can install it with a single command using the Windows Package Manager. And they say this is from GDC. This is just from last week. What's changed here in development? Onboarding around 30 minutes, down from 30 days from 2 years ago, and months before that. Modular onboarding, start building before you're fully approved. Automated agreements, so 90% plus reduction in handling. And I guess there's a picture of Twitter here. You, we'll have to see how this all plays out in practice, but it does sound very, very good. So open docs, open GDK, no NDA required to read, install, or start building. PlayFab free for Xbox games, matchmaking, game saves, economy, analytics, all included, and less waiting between builds. So you see some of the comments here really positive for developers. A lot of my customers that come in said if Xbox new console has no exclusives, it's a no-go for them, blah, 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 blah. The exclusives talk, you always have the console wars in there. They're really trying to compete with Steam, which yeah, I think they somewhat are here. And now, will they ever catch Steam in terms of market share? Probably not. Can they grab some market share from Steam? Probably. But that it does seem like who they're looking more to compete with, even though Steam is going to be on the platform itself. I mean, 99% of gamers use Windows to play their games. And it took Microsoft this long to realize, oh, we have the OS where everyone plays their games. Maybe we should capitalize on that and make more money off of it. It's crazy how it took them this long to realize that. But Xbox games now build as standard x64 projects like PC, which means the process is far closer to regular PC development than it used to be. And like, how different is it building a game right now for the Series X and S and for the PS5 comparatively to building it for PC? I feel like it can't be that crazy different. But this is just making it even less of a difference between development. So especially with Play Anywhere, building that game once will be massive. Then they have say Foundation Mode is a new Play Fab offering announced at GDC 2026, giving Xbox developers access to core Play Fab services. And we've talked about this before, the back end stuff, the cross saves, the cross platform, all of that, which is huge. Like the one thing that I would say for developers is they don't really care where you play their game. They don't care if you can offer them more access to their game, they're going to want that. They're going to want more people playing it. They don't care about the console war side of things, which is basically just reserved for social media. They so they say even better, the systems are cross platforms. That okay, so this is my question. That means developers can use the same backend services for players across iOS, Android, Nintendo Switch, PC, and PlayStation. So that's pretty cool. They can start using these tools as soon as they commit to shipping a game on Xbox with no Azure subscription or payment setup required. So that is the key right there. They are trying to entice devs to guarantee their game comes to Xbox because obviously they've looked at the numbers and some games are skipping. They don't want any of that. So they're enticing them. saying you can get all this stuff for free. You can even update your systems across platforms if you use our services, but you have to guarantee that you bring your game to Xbox, which would then tell me that the Xbox would be that lead platform for them to develop their games, and they would port it over. So that would be huge going forward into the next generation. If just the development side is so much easier on Xbox, I think you'll see a lot of devs, big devs, regardless of console sales, because what Xbox is doing that is very smart. They know they'll never compete on a console sale wise to Nintendo or to PlayStation. What they're doing that's what's very smart is you bring in the whole PC side, and you just none of that matters, because you're like, well, listen, if you come and develop it here on Xbox, yes, we may only have 40 million consoles installed right now for the, or 30 million, whatever it is, for the Series X and S, but look how many players are in the Xbox ecosystem. You build the game once and you reach all those players. I think their last reported number was like 500 million monthly active users, which is, pretty sure, far beyond like maybe a couple hundred million. I have to look it up. Maybe a couple hundred million, which was reported from PlayStation. PlayStation monthly active users. I think they were at like 200 and some, or 123. Yeah, so PSN had approximately 123 million monthly active users, that they reported here, because obviously they're just basically including PS4 and PS5 users. That's basically all it is. And then I guess some PC users, but mainly PS4 and PS5. Xbox here, because of PC, they're reporting 500 million monthly active users. So you're selling that to the developer. Look, you have this many more users that can access this game if you build it on Xbox. And I feel like that is something that will be a far stronger selling point than people believe. Like, I don't think people understand the power of what that could do for games going forward, because obviously what we're seeing right now in gaming is just rising costs, not enough players. There's just not enough players. There's too many games that are getting released, and there's too many options for people, and people don't care, especially with the changing in generations of the younger generations coming in and playing games. They don't care to play the next big AAA game that comes out. They just don't care. They don't have the money to buy it. Maybe their parents aren't going to buy it for them. Like, they don't care. They just want to go and play Fortnite, and they want to go and play Call of Duty, and they want to go and play the Dark Hole games and Madden and FIFA. That's all they'll end up playing. I mean, even to be honest, like, when you think about, because when I was younger, when I was in high school, and even before that, I didn't have the money to go out and buy the biggest new AAA game every time it came out. I was playing basically the same stuff, and then I would get games for Christmas, and then I would play those games until maybe my birthday or whatever, where I get another game. So that is where it is. The thing now, though, which I think trumps all of that, is the games that they're playing are free to play. So you don't even need to go out and buy anything new. And developers need to find ways to reach more people that potentially would want to play their games. Like, you have things like Game Pass and subscription services to help get games out there. When playing Mini Shoot Adventures right now, which is like a small indie game, it's so good. I recommend everyone going to check it out if you like twin stick shooters mixed with Zelda mechanics and like some slight RPG mechanics. Very, very good game. But stuff like that, you're not, if you have a chance of reaching up to like 500 million people, I feel like developers look at that and say, yeah, okay, well, we'll take these free services. You cut our costs down, we'll take your free services, and we'll make you the lead platform and get the games out to more people. So that's huge. I think this will be pretty big. We'll see how it plays out in real time when it does drop more and the new GDKs get sent out, because I believe the I don't know if those are available right now. If this is like they can go in there and sign up and get all this stuff free right now, but I know, for at least from what they said about the Project Helix, was that the early units, or the alpha units, whatever it's called, are going out in 2027. I would assume beginning of 2027, which brings us to, are these consoles coming out this year or next year? And will let's see if I have the article up here. Will there be a like, will PlayStation 6 as well? Will they release in 2027? We've heard a lot of the rumors about them potentially pushing the PlayStation back and releasing it in 2028 or 2029. I don't know if they even really have, if that's a smart move, if that's an option that they would want to do unless they're hoping that they can reduce the price of it at launch significantly. I mean, we've seen something like Nintendo Switch 2 drop, and that was behind everything that was on the market, and that sold well. But that's not a console that's gonna be at like 700, $800, which I think the PS6 will be. I think the PS6 is not gonna be lower than 750 or 700 based off of the price of the PS5 Pro. But there is this article here. Just pulling it up here 1 second. In terms of power, which is another thing why I think PS6 will probably not wait. I think they're going to release in 2027 because if their power is anywhere close to the next Xbox, if you wait another 2 years, you're coming out and the console's anemic already. It's already like way underpowered comparatively to where it would be if they released in 2027. And PlayStation doesn't have the luxury of that comparatively to what Nintendo has because they have basically trained their audience to just want the really expensive AAA cinematic style games, which you're gonna have to have some good power under the hood to be able to create those the way that they want to create them. But we have this here, and PlayStation may not trail. It's funny because we're already talking the power narrative, but PlayStation may not trail Xbox Project Helix by much, as Xbox's performance advantage may not be all that meaningful. This is coming from what some tech experts are saying. I believe it's Digital Foundry and Kepler L2, who is a leaker, AMD leaker who's gotten stuff correct in the past. Digital Foundry, I mean, people have their thoughts on Digital Foundry, whether you like them or not. I think it's kind of funny that they came out and said, we're not going to cover Xbox anymore, or basically said that it's not fruitful to cover Xbox because they're not getting the views on it, but they're going to still do it. As soon as they see any sort of hype or advantage, they'll start covering it again. I th- on the Xbox side of things, I would say even on my channel, I never have really. I see the comments where people are like, "Ha, your channel's dead now because they're putting games on PlayStation. Your channel is dead because you like Xbox." Blah 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 blah. I've never seen a real downtick in traffic on my channel. It's always been pretty consistent, even no matter how negative the news has been around Xbox. And I think that's because I just cover it and I talk about it and I just give my honest opinions. But I don't know these channels that are coming out here. It's probably because I don't know where they're seeing the traffic just completely die off when it does come to talking Xbox because I haven't really seen it. But anyways, PlayStation 6 may not trail Xbox Project Helix by much, as Xbox's performance advantage may not be all that meaningful. This is what they say. And this comes via Digital Foundry, who they were looking at, I guess, the leak specs, and they say that the difference won't be meaningful. And then on the NeoGAF forum, AMD leaker Kepler L2 chiming in, saying the contrary to general wrong belief, the difference between the PS6 and the Xbox Project Helix will be a bigger gap than between the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, saying for Magnus, Project Helix APU, it's about 25% higher T-flops text rate, about 33% higher front-end BW geom rate, pixel rate, plus 140% more LLC and 20% more memory bandwidth. But then he does agree here with Digital Foundry's take, saying, I agree that it's not enough to make a huge difference, like Magnus running something at 60 FPS, while the PS6 can only handle 30 FPS, or running path tracing in a game where the PS6 can handle ray tracing. And he expects the Xbox Project Helix to run games at a higher internal resolution or use slightly higher quality settings, which is effectively not a meaningful difference considering the games will make ample use of the upscaling with future versions of PSSR and AMD FSR Diamond. So that does make sense to me. I've said this for years that FSR, PSSR, which I believe is just basically FSR with a PlayStation branding and maybe whatever, some additional stuff they've worked with AMD on. But I believe that it's always been those things now going forward into the future as to what will make games look and run better than the actual raw hardware. You obviously need the raw hardware for just getting the games on there. Ray tracing, I think, really needs that, path tracing, all of that. But the upscaling technologies is what the focus is going forward here. These are all AI upscaling technologies. All this stuff is going to be used here to make games just run smoother on these consoles for a long period of time. When you're only putting out a console like every 7 years, you can't just expect the raw hardware to just push these games to their max throughout the entire life cycle. So that will be the big difference. There will be more power under the hood of the Xbox, but does that even matter? I don't think it matters at all for sales. I think it matters for enthusiasts who just want the thing that is the most powerful. But the more important thing is what we just talked about is the lead platform for developments will make the difference as to where the games run better. Series X is more powerful than the PlayStation 5. It is. Like that's a fact. But there were games, and there are games that run better on PlayStation because they were optimized better for PlayStation because that was the lead platform for development. I think Xbox sees that. They came out with the Series X, most powerful console on the market, most powerful console ever made or whatever. And then they thought, okay, this is good. We're gonna have the games looking and running better, which will give us an advantage. What they didn't keep in mind was where would these developers choose to develop their games. Now I think they're trying to tackle this in this upcoming generation. Because if you have the most powerful console and you're the lead platform for development, your games are going to always look and run best on that platform. So we'll see how this happens. But again, PSSR, AMD, FSR Diamond, which is, I believe they're just renaming it from like FSR 4, FSR, would this be FSR 5? Now it's called FSR Diamond. So just say this here. So what is FSR Diamond? Just like FSR Redstone ended up being FSR 4, FSR Diamond is it's the code name for the next version of the tech. So I'm guessing they'll just come out here with it FSR 5 close to launch, which does FSR does a great job. They're continuously making it better. So, and they say this is another gemstone codename that you might have missed out on. That's Amethyst, and that's the official codename for Sony's next generation PlayStation project. And the feature updates here will also apply to Radeon GPU. So, like I said, it's just FSR. All this upscaling tech, even with like the whatever Sony is working on, which they'll probably call it something else, like PSSR2 or something. It's just basically AMD and FSR. So that will be very, very important for how games are running. Because even though the next Xbox is going to be expensive, well, we don't know the price. Like, there's a lot of speculation on the price of the next Xbox. It's all speculation. I don't know if anybody has any concrete info on what they're going to price it. I don't think that they do. I think it's all just speculation at this point. You're seeing 1200 to 1500 or crazy numbers, right? But you never know what they decide to do by the time they do launch this, especially as they potentially start to hear more rumblings about what PlayStation is going to do and where they're going to launch their console. I don't think PlayStation is a direct competitor really anymore for them because I think personally, Xbox has done a significantly better job of setting themselves up for the future than PlayStation has with their whole having PC in there and just all of those things where you're going to just reach a way more people, and the technology behind the platform I think is better. But the reality is they may look at it and say we still want to be able to make this an option that people go into a store and actually have to think about which box they want to purchase if they're only going in on price. So if let's say PS6 comes out at like 800, maybe they're like, okay, we got to get this thing, we got to get the next Xbox to 899 so that it's not like a $500 price gap between the two boxes. You never know, especially because they could easily subsidize it if they wanted to. It's the question is, do they want to? And most people are saying no, they don't. But they could end up just changing their minds at the end of the day and saying, yeah, we do want to compete more on a price level just to have something in there for that people can look at and compare when they're walking into a store, into the retail space, and they say, okay, we're going to try to subsidize it a bit here and get the price down. I still think it doesn't really matter either way. Like, $800 is still going to be a very high price for most people in the console market because no one's used to that. A console launching at 800. It's never happened. I believe the highest was, what did the PS3 launch at, 599 or 699? I forget. Was it 600 or 700? Either way, like if they come out at like 800 bucks, it's going to be purely an enthusiast product for the beginning part of it. And hopefully the next gen, eventually prices do start to go down. Hopefully the whole memory stuff is worked out by the time like few years by the time these consoles do launch, so we're not sitting here with raising prices, which has been the biggest detriment to console sales, more so than exclusives or whatever. People are always the other. It's the price of it, and the price is going up. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here, but I feel like you never know. You never know. Maybe they come in here and they try to subsidize it a little bit and give a more reasonable price than like 1,200 or $1,500. Some of the stuff that you're seeing be reported almost as fact when it clearly is just random speculation from people online saying it. And there's no indication right now as to exactly what they're going to be pricing it for. I've even seen some discussions of people kind of like backtracking a little bit, saying, "Oh, it's gonna be powerful, but like it'll still be in the console range, so they could get the price down." It's like it's all just BS at this point when it does come to that stuff. So that is what is going on right now for I think the Xbox GDK stuff is or GDC stuff, as well as with the pricing and potentially PlayStation 6. There's been couple of other interesting things. I talked about this, I believe, in one of my videos, but this one's very curious, and I wonder if this will ever make its way to PlayStation. But Bravely Default, I don't know if anyone's ever played this one. I played this back on like 3DS, and I also have it for the Switch too. They announced that it is coming, and there's no PlayStation version here. This would be top headlines across all gaming websites if this was the case. Like if this picture shows up and it's just shows PlayStation, Steam, and Switch, you would have seen everybody talking about it. I haven't really seen too many websites, maybe I've missed it, talking about it and bringing it up, but I find it curious that a game from Square Enix, a game that would absolutely fit onto the PlayStation platform, like it would sell in Japan and all in that. So it's not there, and I wonder what the reasoning behind that is. But showing up here for Series X and S, Xbox on PC and Steam. If you like JRPGs, I would recommend like turn-based stuff and all that. You see a lot of the comments down here. I feel sorry for the studio. Game will die because of Xbox before it even comes to PlayStation. How can a game die if it's a port? Yeah, that's pretty funny. Exclusively not on PS5. Oh, I need the T what happened between them and PlayStation. Because we have kind of seen so the beginning of this generation, the actual relationship between Xbox and Square Enix, it seemed like it had fallen off a bit with games staying exclusive and PlayStation is obviously money hiding a bunch of stuff. But throughout this gen, we've seen that relationship 180, 100%. Square Enix not doing multiplayer, not doing exclusive anymore and putting their games out. They're putting lots of games to Game Pass as well. Person says, wait, what? No PlayStation? Really? That's weird considering it's also coming on Xbox. And I'm saying this as an Xbox player. I don't think anyone is clamoring to play Flying Fairy anytime soon. You'd be surprised. It was pretty popular. And then you just see some more console war stuff. So I'm interested in what's going on there. I think if I had to take a wild guess, maybe it probably is coming to PlayStation at some point, but maybe they use their free development stuff. I don't know. I have no idea. Exclusively on PlayStation 5, that's a first. That is honestly that does not happen very often. But I find that one funny because if that was the picture not showing the Xbox logo, it would have been like everyone would have been talking about it, and every news websites would have had retweeted it in case you missed it type of stuff all the time that the game was missing. So that part is pretty funny. The other thing that was going on this one, I don't know if any of you guys saw this, but okay, well now I guess his account got suspended. There was a guy who showed up on Twitter who was pretending to be a Microsoft employee, an Xbox employee, and posting out all this misinformation. It was like a positive Xbox account, but he was posting all this misinformation and stuff. And what's interesting is that I guess Seamus Blackley, we know his history with Xbox, and his most recent interview about Xbox was very, very negative. But I guess he deleted his Twitter account. And this account here, I tweeted about it. Go follow me on Twitter if you haven't yet. It's just at the Big Plume. But this, or just type in Plume Gaming and I'll be there. He somehow got Seamus Blackley's handle and then was tweeting about it. And I feel like I'm not the first person, one of the first people that noticed that this account was obviously AI, fake, generated, all this stuff. Even some of the pictures he was posting in front of like the Xbox booth at GDC still had the little Gemini logo in the bottom right corner. And he tricked a lot of people because you could see the people that followed him and replying to him and talking to him like he was like a real Xbox employee. It was kind of odd. But now his account has been suspended and all that. So I don't know if any of you are on Twitter and you have been looking at this guy's account thinking that he was giving you real information. He wasn't. It was a fake account. It was an AI bot, or it was just somebody acting. It was just somebody acting, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, there's a lot of that stuff popping up as well. And I mean, what's funny is if you go through my Twitter, I just tweet some like generic stuff sometimes, and like you get some of the Xbox is not dead. You'll get some of the funniest responses from the ponies. They really want this thing to die. But I will say what they've shown off at GDC, especially with everything like the backwards compatibility stuff, that is that is very, very exciting to me. I believe I had a backwards compatibility thing here that I did want to talk. Oh, this is exciting. This is extremely exciting to me. The next thing I do want to go over, adding official Xbox and Xbox 360 emulation to PC. I would. This is great. I hope this means beyond what's currently in the catalog, but I feel like they're going to start off with everything that is in there, which I think that's a catalog that needs to be expanded upon. Can they expand it? Maybe with whatever new technology that they're working on, maybe it helps them get more games into the backwards compatibility program, but I think a lot of it has to do with licensing. But it says this: Microsoft is reportedly adding official Xbox and Xbox 360 emulation to PC. They weren't, I believe, 100% clear on this at GDC, but then like in their keynote, but then more information did come out, and they basically confirm. I mean, the journalists, I guess, confirmed that they are working on this coming over to PC. I think Tom Warren was the one that did that, but this to me is huge because this is that whole integration of your entire Xbox catalog into your PC catalog in one place, then being able to actually utilize what's available on PC to play these games better will be huge. Like if you have a very powerful PC, you can just upres these games and increase the frame rates, and they look like remastered, beautiful games. You already you get a glimpse of that right now, even with backwards compatibility. You pop in a OG Xbox game with the 4K resolutions and the 60 FPS, it literally looks like the game was remastered. And that's all just on the console doing it. That's not a developer going in there and adding that stuff in. It's a lot of like the features that Xbox has implemented into their console. They're going to be bringing that over to PC. It says we spent a lot of time discussing Microsoft's plan to bring Windows 11 to its latest console. And the company recently revealed Project Helix, which will reportedly run Windows 11 in Xbox mode instead of using a dedicated Xbox OS, and can play PC games. I'm so happy this is finally coming, like the official version, because I installed it on mine and I connected my PC to one of my TVs and it was working great. This is like the beta version, all that stuff. But then all of a sudden the controller inputs to log in and stuff stopped working. And that was super annoying because I always have to get my keyboard up. So hopefully once this full version launches, that will all be worked out. I heard it was an error about the current beta version was not recognizing your TV as a touchscreen, which made you not able to log in with the controller. So hopefully that is all worked out when this does drop, because that will be going on there right away, basically giving you early access to the next gen if you have a high-end GPU. Says, however, what we haven't heard a lot about is Microsoft bringing its Xbox offerings to PC. After all, Project Helix ends up being a Windows 11 PC in disguise. What's stopping development in Microsoft's newest console from going back upstream to Windows 11? One leaker believes that it won't be long until we see some of Xbox's tech arrive on our PCs. Quick resume: if that can get over onto PC, that would be huge. In response to a statement from Xbox saying that people will play older titles in new ways in the near future, the leaker claims it likely refers to Microsoft releasing an official emulator for original Xbox and Xbox 360 games. Now, the story they say here that okay, so this is just Tom Warren here on Blue Sky, and he says here, as part of our 25th anniversary. Okay, so that's just his tweet of what Jason Ronald said. And they say here, now as spotted by notebook check leaker Nate the Hate quoted the blue sky message in a recent error form. And he's been a reliable leaker in the past. He's gotten a lot of stuff correct, of course. That sneakers SO guy, though, he has gotten some stuff correct, but it seems like his most recent leak about everything that was happening at Xbox either didn't understand what he was told, or just wrong on a lot of stuff. And Nate is correct. He says, we previously heard from them in December 2025 when we discussed the Xbox 360 potentially arriving on Windows 11. And now that Microsoft has confirmed it's doing something for the sake of game preservation for the 25th anniversary, using your old games on your PC sounds much more feasible. So he is saying here that basically this is happening. They're saying here that this is basically happening, that you're going to be able to get 360 and OG Xbox games backwards compatibility on your PC, which is a massive win. It's a massive win for anybody who cares about game preservation or who wants these games on there. The biggest next step though for them is expanding the library out. And what are they going to do about physical collections? Because obviously 360 a lot of people are huge on the physical side of it. I have a huge physical Xbox 360 collection. Will we ever be able to actually play those games via like a disk drive or something with Project Helix? Or maybe they make a disk drive that you can actually plug into your PC as well and play your backwards compatible games like that too. That would be very, very cool to see. I feel like they have to launch an external disk drive with the next gen. I don't see them actually going out there and releasing it without some sort of way for people to play their physical games, because they're still, although out of all three of the big three, Xbox is by far the most digital. And I think most people don't actually care about physical at all on Xbox, especially when you have features like Xbox Play Anywhere. I am the type of person that used to care about physical. I still do, but it only matters to me if the whole game is on the actual disc or if the whole game is on the cartridge or whatever it is. Like, for example, I'll buy Nintendo Switch 1 games if the whole games are on there, just to add to that collection. But anything else, I'm just full digital now. I don't care about Xbox physical games anymore because of Play Anywhere. So, will I even buy the disc drive? Probably not, because I still have my Series X and I'm going to keep that forever. And that will be my whole backwards compatibility machine as well for my Series X games to all the way down the line. But they still have to give that option for people who just want that ability, because there is a collection of Series X, Xbox One games out there on disc that still need to be able to be used, because you take that option away, those games basically just become useless. So we'll see. I hope the external disk drive will be compatible with PC as well as console. So yeah, that is pretty cool. Super chat sent $5 through super chats. Did not see that. Let me pull this up here. So that's basically all the stuff I really did want to talk about today. I'm going to go through some of the comments, though. Just give me 1 second here, guys. We'll go through some of the comments here. But I'm excited. It's kind of draining when you go on social media. When you're doing YouTube and stuff, you kind of have to have the social media there. And I find my Twitter has definitely picked up over the last few weeks. And I just literally tweet like, I'm excited for Xbox. Okay, I troll a little bit more than that. I should be honest with you. I'm not gonna. I do troll, and I do put stuff out there that I know that you'll get a reaction for. But a lot of like the recently, I've just putting out like, I'm excited for Xbox. The Xbox future is bright. Xbox is innovating, and instantly it's just like, I swear most of it are bots. This is one thing that I think with Twitter is that like at least 50% of the responses are just bots. But it's just like all of these Xbox is dead. They have no more exclusives. Blah 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 blah. PlayStation is better, and you always get the same people in there responding over and over and over again. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny to see, like, just even being positive about Xbox at all is, it triggers people, which is a very weird thing in my opinion. Yeah, I don't see any super chats, so I don't know what that guy was talking about. But anyways, um well, question I have for people is, what would you pay for Project Helix? Because that's the other thing too. people are excited for it, but if it's, like, coming out, like, over $1,000, would you go out and buy that? Or I guess would you start saving that your money now for it? I know I'm probably never gonna sell my Series X. I'll keep that thing forever just because it has the whole disk drive built in. It's a great, great console for playing all your generations right now. But then with Project Helix, of course, that'll all be implemented there, and then PC, but that'll be all digital, so I'll need that. I'll need something with the disk drive even though I think they will end up I think they will end up releasing something for physical games. Biggest question about Helix is what will be the DRM solution? I mean, it'll probably be the same as it is now. We're at that point, right? Like Xbox One when they came out with their announcement for DRM, which threw off that launch of that console, we're there. I mean, they were just way too ahead of the game, like too much into the future. I don't, not that I like it or anything, but they're just way too much into the future when it comes to digital rights management and stuff. Because the reality is, it is true at any point, all of these games that we own in our digital library, even on Steam, eh, it's like they could just close off the server and then they're basically useless. And that's why you've seen a lot of pushback against that. I think the EU had a bunch of lawsuits. The EU, PlayStation is being sued like multiple times. I think there's multiple lawsuits that have been opened up against them. A lot of it has to do with the PSN, their store, the pricing, the overcharging people, all of those things. And when we talk about PlayStation pulling back from PC, I think it's a stupid move. First of all, from the business perspective, I would be shocked if they never go back to it. I feel like this is just them, as I've said on my videos. I don't think it has to do with exclusives. I don't think it has to do with protecting the brand. I don't think it has to do with selling more consoles. You can take a look at all the numbers. All of that's fine. Their consoles are selling, their games are selling on PlayStation, all of that, and they're still making money off PC. I think it completely has to do with reducing costs, reducing their getting better margins per games. Because if you listen to some of the stuff they send their financial reports, that was their big issue. They always talk about how can they get better margins for their games, how can they increase their margins and all that. I think this is all it is, just potentially reducing some costs of porting to PC, which in turn will make them lose money, but I guess they're thinking that it'll keep people locked in. It'll offset it because it'll just make people spend more money in the PlayStation network and then they'll have more money overall. But when I talk about the future, why I think Xbox is set up better is simply because of that. They have a better base, a better avenue of making reaching more gamers and expanding their market in a console market that right now is stagnant to declining on the PlayStation and on the Xbox side of things. And Nintendo Switch 2, we'll see where it ends up at the end of the generation, but I'll be shocked if the Switch 2 sells like more really any meaningful amount more than the Nintendo Switch 1 because of how much that did sell. Maybe even sells less. You never know if they raise prices, although it's off to a very, very strong start. And we'll see if they ever can expand their market too. So, but Nintendo has a big advantage that we talk about all the time is that they have kids, they have old people, they have everybody in between. Xbox, PlayStation don't really have that. They don't have those markets locked down like Nintendo has. And Nintendo has far lower development costs for their first party games. So they can put out a game that's not costing hundreds of millions of dollars and they'll sell 10 million copies of it, no problem. And their margins will be massive. They've basically mastered the industry. If we're being honest here, Nintendo is the GOAT when it comes to mastering the industry in terms of making money on their games. So it's a completely different ball game when it comes to Xbox and it comes to PlayStation when you're spending those hundreds of millions, and they can't ever go away from that. The thing with PlayStation specifically, they can never turn away from that. They can never turn away from the AAA cinematic experiences. I mean, that Ghost of Sparta game, or is that the PSP one? Whatever the new one that came out, whatever it's called, that game is probably doesn't cost a crazy amount to make. We'll see what the sales numbers are on it, but I would be shocked if that thing sells very, very good just because of it's not a movie game, and all it didn't get the best reviews either, but you know what I'm trying to say here. So it's a different market, all that, and they have to expand. PlayStation has to expand in some way or another. They can't just go. You see the console warriors. Oh yes, this is great. We're taking away access from people that have no effect on whether I enjoy a game or not. but they're going to have to find other ways to expand them. Like they'll have to in one way or another, unless they can just completely reduce their costs. And I don't know. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But right now, it's still a rumor about the whole PC side. I think Steam on Xbox is going to end badly for Microsoft because what do they get from it? Well, they get people locked into their ecosystem, potentially still buying games or staying on Xbox and staying within the Xbox ecosystem. Like if you buy a game on Steam, you load it up into the Xbox app, you load up the console experience. Even if you're playing your game on Steam, you're still within the Xbox experience, and there's a chance that you could still purchase something. And they also own Windows. So the thing is, they own Windows. So they're keeping them there. People are talking about Linux, right? Like Linux taking over, which Linux is great, but the market share is so tiny and it doesn't support some of the bigger games there. And who cares? That the reality is, at the end of the day, as a gamer yourself, why would people care or complain about what Xbox gets about them giving us a better experience with more access? Like, I don't care. If they're giving it to us, they must have good reasoning behind why they want to do it. They have a good relationship with Steam. They have a good relationship with Valve and Gabe, right? So they're going to give it to us. I'm not going to complain. Go ahead. Even if they lose money off of it, they're $1 trillion corporation. They'll be fine. But I think there's like a bigger play to it with just capturing more of the PC market and then telling a PC gamer who plays mainly on Steam, hey, you want to try Xbox? No problem. Here's the new Xbox. Here's the new Xbox experience. Go buy it. Play your Steam games, but try out what we have available for you in Xbox, and maybe you'll enjoy it. And I think a lot of PC gamers take that and think, well, if I'm going to get a Steam machine or I'm going to get build or I want to get a console, and I'm looking at a console that's giving me full access to my entire PC library, and they probably own some Xbox games. They've probably dabbled in Xbox before because there's absolutely a big crossover between PC gaming and Xbox gaming. It's been like this for over a decade or so. They may say, "Well, this is a no-brainer. I get all my Steam stuff. I'm not locked down to anything, and then I can potentially look at what Xbox has to offer. Oh, Xbox is offering Play Anywhere for this game that I can buy once and get it on my console, go back to my PC and play it, or do I buy it on Steam and be locked down to just my PC or whatever has Steam on it?" So I think they're just trying to kind of entice more PC gamers over by doing stuff like that, which I think is not a bad move. I think it is kind of, I think it's smart. I think they will grab some PC market share. Not, I don't know how much. Maybe in the single digit percentages. Who knows? But I think they will grab some market share from Steam with moves like this. It's undeniable when you think about Xbox Play Anywhere. Like, even if you have a console, and no matter, even if you have Steam or whatever, because we've heard about even not trophy, well, trophy integration too, but like achievement integration between the two platforms. That'll be another massive thing. But it's undeniable when the game is Xbox Play Anywhere. If you're looking at, okay, do I spend $70 on the Steam version or $70 on the Xbox version? It's the exact same game, but the Xbox version is literally letting me play it everywhere, even take it on the go via handheld or via the cloud. My logic is, okay, well, yeah, it's like you're basically buying the game twice for the same amount. So there's a lot there when it comes to that. We'll see if it pans out though in the real world. That is the question. Because gamers, we know they like what they like, and it's hard to change. And we've seen it on social media. So we'll see how it works. But I'm super excited for Project Helix. If anything, this is the most consumer friendly project we have seen in a long time from these big companies, and we will know for sure when we see the price just how friendly. The Xbox has done a lot of consumer friendly moves. They've also done some anti-consumer moves, of course, like the raising of Game Pass and stuff throughout this generation. But overall, Xbox has always been the more access, the better for customer platform. But it's not even close. It's like the same when you look at Android and Apple. It's like you're either being locked down, having to lick the boot of the company no matter what, whatever they tell you, or you have more of an open ecosystem. Yes, there's some things like obviously that aren't great, but at least you have more access and more choice. So what I always talk about, it's like exclusives have a play. They play a role. I would never deny that exclusives don't play any role in sales or anything. They play a role. I think the way that people perceive exclusives of being like the only thing and the major thing that sell a console is wrong. I don't think that is correct. I think it's part of it. But when you look at the difference between what PlayStation and Xbox offering, exclusives are basically just their marketing ploy to get people to be locked down so they have no choice where they can purchase games, to be locked down into the PlayStation Network, to be locked down so PlayStation can control all of the prices and potentially penny pinch you for as much as possible. I think PlayStation's end goal, if they are pulling from PC, is to become more like Nintendo, where their games are always highly priced. If they do go on sale, they'll be like $10 off, $15 off, or whatever. You'll have no other option on where to get codes for the game, so you can never actually get deals like you can when they're on PC, like because you have all the different stores out there. Versus the Xbox, where they're like, okay, we're giving you full access to how you want to play your games, the whole ecosystem. They know they're losing control on the pricing of stuff because they know people can go out there even for Game Pass. Like you can still go out and buy Game Pass codes for far less than $30 a month. They know that. They're not just sitting there thinking, "Oh man, everyone's paying $30 a month." They know that the access is more available. So to me, I look at it, it's like it's just a no-brainer thing here. Like the more consumer friendly side is better. And exclusives just reduce that. It's as simple as that, and the you gotta think I always look at it like 2 ways, like, there's the consumer mindset and then there's the business mindset. I can understand, like, yes, from the business side, what exclusives by putting games on PlayStation, Xbox is devaluing their brand image somewhat from the business perspective, but as a consumer, it's like, why do you care that much about that, if you're getting cheaper games, giving more access and all of that, right? So there's always like those 2 brains that you kind of have to think about when I look at that side, but that's just the way I see it. I feel like a lot of people just like to talk on social media and they don't even play games. They just like to fight online because people love fighting online. All right. It is what is it here? It's been about an hour and 15 minutes. Um Yeah, so, great. I just randomly went live. I had like 80 people in here. This is phenomenal. This is what I'm gonna try to do on a weekly basis. May not be every week, but I'll post in advance so that you guys know going forward whether I'm gonna go live on the Saturday. My goal is 11 a.m. Saturday for about an hour or so, an hour and a half, and, we'll just talk about gaming news and stuff. So, 80 people just hopped in out of nowhere. This is awesome to see. I'm sure if I plan it more and give people more of a notice, it could get even bigger. And yeah, this was fun. So Saturdays, that's my goal. I'm gonna call this the like I had this name before, but it's called PGP, the Plume Game Podcast, and we'll go from there. But I appreciate everybody coming out. I'm gonna end it here, but have a good weekend. Enjoy whatever you're doing. Play some games, have fun, and I will see you guys in the next one.